Shark is a very interesting LSA aircraft, very inexpensive, very affordable airplane to get into. They sell one-seat and two-seat kits, ultralight LSA kits. They've actually got a version that's sort of named after Dan Reynolds now, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they actually sort of offer a STOL kind of version of that Chinook kit now.
Yeah, it sounds like he kind of pioneered those modifications. He's added slats, which are apparently not good along with other airframe modifications. Of course, I'm sure he's got some active shocks on there to kind of keep up with the suspension game.
Dan is a multi-time past Valdez winner, as well as national STOL competition winner.
In fact, according to him, he has the shortest landing on record.
Him and Frank Knapp are duking that out year after year for many years. All right, as we get ready for our third round here for the LSA class, current standings: Dan Reynolds in first place with a combined score of 98 feet. John Kawicki in second place with a combined score of 153 feet. Aris Cervelis in third place with a combined score of 373 feet. And Tim Stragi, unfortunately, has two scratched landings. His first landing would have been one of the shortest landings so far in the class if it was just a foot farther across the line. So he's going to be looking to record a landing on this third and final attempt.
Taking off here, you can see how we have our next class kind of lining up for their heat. We'll be rolling into the Bush class after this. Predominantly Super Cubs in that class, certified typically, and yeah, that's going to be our big one. 31-inch Bush wheels prize package for the Bush class this year.
Yeah, just like the light touring category, we have a lot of Bush class contestants this year, so we're going to run 3 heats in the Bush class as well. Robert Churchill, just going to let that one roll out.
Yeah, those little Continentals can be a little bit temperamental, especially if he's got the Stromberg carburetor. I kind of fought issues with those for a while.
You're speaking from first-hand experience there, kid.
Definitely speaking from first-hand experience.
You are a C85 man, kid.
Yeah, when it comes to the small Continentals, they're pretty hard to beat engines, but carburation has come a long way since the 1940s.
John Kawicki in the S20. Figures around the 65-foot mark there. Going to be right in line with his first 2 takeoffs at 63 and 77 feet. Tim Schrage now on the Super STOL. So far his shortest takeoff was 98 feet. Double scratch on the landing though, so he's really going to be looking to get across the line on this round. Got 63 feet for John Kawicki's third and final takeoff in the Rams. And 84 feet for Tim Schrage in the Super STOL.
Dan pulling back up the line here in the Chinook. Looks like he's ready to put down his final lap here. We'll see if he can improve on his already insane scores.
Really does just levitate in the air, Gabe. That light wing loading.
It should be noted that we don't have a lot of wind here today. It looks like the automated weather system is calling for 8 to 10 miles an hour variable, which is certainly helpful, but in years past we've had much more wind, which is kind of where these records get set.
I can't imagine we've got more than 5 or 6 right now. I mean,
yeah, the weather observation system is saying 8 to 10, but really we're probably sitting at 5 miles an hour, just a very light breeze.
Our Surveillance on final now for his final landing in the Sling 2. Currently has a best landing distance of 202 feet. This is a trainer aircraft. They're going to be offering flight instruction in it out of Anchorage.
You can see he's just about as nose high as he can possibly be there, trying to get it as slow as possible. Really jamming on those brakes.
Very consistent, still just over 200 feet there. Rotax powered. I believe that one's one of the larger Rotaxes though, not the 100 horse.
Yeah, they've got some new versions that have come out, like the 915, which many of us have seen the Carbon Cup UL flying around on that power plant. And that's a really interesting plane that we're going to see coming up here in later heats.
Yeah, just kind of a quick word on that, I guess, since you already mentioned it. One cool thing we're going to be doing this year that's totally new is at the very last heat, we're going to have 5 different pilots all fly that Carbon Cup UL. And we'll have Pat Horgan from Cup Crafters, he'll come up here and kind of talk about some of the specifications and the cool new things that they're doing with that airplane. But the thing that'll be new that's really cool is 5 people will fly the same airplane, so we'll really get to see some of the pilot skill comparison.
John Kotwicki putting in a very respectable landing. Looks like maybe right around or just over 75 feet in that Rans S20.
Looks like they were calling a scratch on John Kotwicki's final landing there.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty close line right there.
Also, it's a hard name to remember.
Judges to chime in on that.
His YouTube channel.
Dan Reynolds currently still in first position for the LSA category with a combined score of 98 feet. We got Tim Schrage now in the Super STOL on final, looking to record a landing score here. He had an 84-foot takeoff, but has not logged a score yet. 2 scratches on his first landing, so he's going to be looking to really get across the line here.
Very, very close scratches, so he just needs to add just a foot of buffer to his landing here.
It's looking good.
Yeah, we knew it.
Right about 75 feet. Very nice landing by Tim Schrage.
That's one of the interesting things that I've noticed this year is usually we'll have either people floating way past the line, or if they scratch, they come up well short of it. It's very rare to see this many people landing within just mere inches of the line scratching, but you know, it is a testament to not only the skill of the pilots, but the consistency of the conditions this year. Dan again taking his dear sweet time coming down here. That plane barely moving at faster than a running pace. Very close to the line there, but it looks like it's over.
Dan's looking to be his shortest landing so far of 38 feet. Like he's kind of right in the ballpark there. We'll see how the judges call this third and final landing for Dan Reynolds.
38 feet. We can land on that.
We had a 72-foot landing there for Tim Schrage in the Super STOL, giving him a combined total of 156 feet. 37 feet for Dan Reynolds' third and final landing there, 1 foot shorter than his second landing. Gives him a combined total of 87 feet for first position in the LSA category. He's followed by John Kotwicki in the S20 at 153 feet, followed by Tim Schrage in the Super STOL at 156 feet, followed by Ara Surveillance in the Sling 2 at 373 feet.
Looks like we got the first of the Bush class rolling up to the line here. Abe, who we got in there first there?
So this is going to be Stephanie Blanchard in a 1971 Piper P-18 Super Cub. This is Steph's work airplane. She flies a 170B as well. She's the organizer of the Seldovia flying as well. Long-time, local aviator, air show competitor.
This is a really neat class to see here. It's all very much almost the same aircraft, so at the end of the day, this is really not about the plane itself, it's about how well the pilot can fly it.
Next up here we got Cash Carr, also in a Piper P-18 Super Cub. Cash is a former VALDEZ Bush class winner.
Not to mention also, I believe Wasilla STOL demo winner. Pretty much everything. Cash is a hard guy to beat at these events.
What's going on with Cash's flaps there, Pete?
Yeah, it looks like a couple of these competitors have the performance STOL flaps. That's one of the few notable modifications to the planes. We kind of already talked about suspension, but the Super Cub flap originally is just kind of a barn door single element that hangs down and works acceptably well. But these new performance STOL flaps are a double slotted design that not only makes the plane land slower, but also helps with the deck angle so you can see better.
Next up we got Wes Erb here in the Taylorcraft, 1976 F-19 Taylorcraft.
Wes usually flying a 180, I believe. This is definitely a different plane for him.
Yeah, Wes is also a well-known VALDEZ veteran, flown many different airplanes. Calls this one Miss America, no flaps, no brakes, no problem.
Yep, just stick and rudder, that's the way to go.
Sounds like he's doing instruction in this T-Craft. He says it's a great trainer for tailwheel. Hard to get bad habits in a Taylorcraft. That's Matt Gagnon away there in the P-18. Just a stock Cub. He's got bush wheels on it. Matt's flying out of Fairbanks, Alaska.
And as Stephanie mentioned with her plane, she called it a working Cub. A lot of these are working aircraft that we see here. These are all certificated Super Cubs for the most part, and these are actual planes that are used in
And our fifth and final competitor in Bush 1 is Keith Lang in that yellow Super Cub. Keith's got a Acme gear, 31-inch bush wheels, and a Tundra tail wheel. Also another, just kind of a working Cub. So it was formerly owned by the state of Alaska. They flew it. Keith does, I believe, something like wildlife surveys. He's flown a bunch of hours just doing surveys in the backcountry in Cubs and other aircraft. So
one of the neat things we see trickling down from the experimental category is things like the shocks and flaps like we've talked about. You're seeing a lot of these Super Cubs will have Acme shocks or the Alaska Gear Company tie shocks on, all of which have been certified and kind of come from the experimental world and eventually gain certification for certified aircraft. So it's neat to see kind of some of these safety improvements coming over from the experimental world into the certified.
yeah, I think that's definitely one of the biggest changes we've seen recently. Has been definitely landing gear suspension. I mean,